Okay, we think we're live. It keeps messing with me every time now. Once again, we got a thing that wish would have came on Saturday when people might have actually seen the video, but we'll see how it goes. Uh, so it did come in a box. I can't open the box because it's full of little shreddies that go everywhere. So that's why you're getting a fake unboxing instead of a real unboxing. And it came with a bag, and instead of folded exactly the way I thought they might be folded, but more or less folded in a bag. And I lost all 6 viewers already, but I don't believe there was really 6 of you to begin with. I think this is lying to me. I think this program is just has a sense of humor, and I don't know. It works when it works. Anyway, so the lead time on the computer was, or the website was 2 to 4 weeks, and that it's been about 8 weeks already, and I finally have them. 7, 8 weeks, somewhere in there. I don't wear suspenders with all of my clothes. I don't have buttons on most of my trousers. I added, so I'll get it, you're seeing the product early for a change, but not in great detail yet. But I had gotten some other suspenders. I did a whole video last year or a few months ago or whatever about suspenders, so I won't go into it in great detail, but of course I have some army ones that I got from like Sportsman's Guide with kind of these fasteners, and I have the heavy duty ones that I got. Carhartt discontinued theirs, but Duluth has the ones with the clips. I just complained yesterday and insist that they bring back something like this with better leather fasteners than these, hopefully, that are more durable, like the Carhartt ones that I think were veg tan. This is some kind of suede back deal. So they've split the leather to save money. So how long they will last, I don't know. And whether or not somebody like Nick's would rebuild this, I doubt, but maybe I could try and see if they would do that in the future. But so the rivets that I put on these jeans and the other pair of unbranded jeans, for those of you who haven't watched those videos, these are not a high-rise waist pant. So I put on the buttons for the suspenders. This one I accidentally put on a third button, which will actually help with these. So I'm going to have to add a third button maybe to this other pair. But I had put on the buttons basically to match these suspenders, or the Carhartt ones, and the spacing thereof. So the spacing of these buttons might not exactly match perfectly the spacing to use for the nicks. I watched the little sizing video, and I talked to the guy and blah, 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 and the guy told me to watch the sizing video, and I told him I'd already watched the sizing video. So I was pretty confident that medium would be the correct fit, and straight out of the bag without adjusting them at all, they're pretty close. I'm not sure how the increments will work, like a belt, if it'll always be like one's a little too loose and one's a little too tight, but leather kind of stretches. So there's that. So I did button up one side, but I can't really change my pants on air, so I had to kind of put them on prematurely. But you can see the other side is riding kind of high, so I don't know. I think I would have to loosen this one to fully attach this one. And then I didn't bother moving the back attachment, although I think I might loosen it a little bit, depending on how the front fits. You see that pretty good? So the yoke is about where you'd expect it to be, the ring. And I don't expect that to be too uncomfortable. There's a bit of an overlay, where there's some extra stuff going on, but it's not like it's going to be super sharp and poke you in the back or anything. Like I said, this button is in the wrong place for the other suspenders, or this button is in the wrong place. I think I would add another one more forward than another one more side. And I think that would be what I would want to do with that. And again, I think, trying to pull, it's not the suspender's fault, because if I had normal waist pants, I wouldn't need to adjust them very much to get that to be correct. Maybe one notch up or down or whatever. But with these particular trousers, I can't pull them up any farther because there's just not enough. Again, you can't see. There's just not enough below here. I'm already cinched up about as high as these pants can go without giving myself a total wedgie. So, so I don't know that they're going to fit exactly perfect right now. But again, I think I need to add a rivet here in front of the belt loop on both sides. So I had read in the reviews that the Duluth rivets have gotten worse over the years. I don't know if that's true, but I ordered some yesterday, so I'll have enough to play with going forward. But so this doohickey, instead of an attached piece, has your, so yeah, you do have to really check to make sure that this is on correctly, because again, with these spaced in the wrong place, they were a little bit trickier to get on than the back ones. Whereas the back ones went boop, boop right on, and the spacing was just about perfect. So if you have trousers that have pre-laid buttons, you might still have to add a button here or there. But for the sake of video, so I'm just feeding that through. I'm not even unscrewing that. Although they only have a screwdriver slot on one side, not on both. So how you really tighten that up all the way, I don't know, because I've had that kind of problem. Sometimes I guess you can grab it with pliers if you don't damage the brass too badly. But I might be able to get one on and then have a real chore with the second one. And I'm worried about that the rivets might come undone and then your whole operation is fail, because this style, again, won't have separate dangles, doohickeys. So if one of these were to fail, you'd still have the second one holding the operation up. Whereas with this, if one goes, they both go. So that is a little bit of an extra concern, especially for the price, because those were like $30 and these were like 100 and something bucks with an upcharge for certain leathers. Although I did get a little bit of a discount because I had ordered boots around the same time. And I think I should be able to wear it okay. It'll be a little tight, wedgy, maybe sitting in the chair, but if we can get them on. If we can get them on, we'll get them on. Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, see, kind of bunchy, kind of terrible look. I need to loosen these a little bit, but out of the box, like I said, pretty much close fit to what I expected. And again, I need to add a button, a rivet. So without adjusting or anything, pretty close to what I had expected. Like I said, for the fit. Now I had to go with the Predator orange. Yeah, see, when it's too tight like that, now I do feel it really digging into my back right about there. A little bit wedgy. So common sense. I don't know if it would be easier to adjust from the back or the front. You'd have to kind of experiment. But I had already gotten these boots in this same similar leather rather. So I knew they would match these at least pretty close, because the kilties for these came in Predator orange, not in Italian brown cypress. And the Shackleton cognac on my other pair of Packer boots is also pretty similar to this. I debated getting the belt combo in the Chrome XL, which I might do sometime in the future now that I, get a chance to see how these wear and tear and blah, blah, blah. Because again, that would make more sense since most of my trousers don't have suspender buttons and rivets start to add up in price. So it's an option, but it's not, essential right at the moment. And again, if I'm out walking around where your pants are going to move and flex and stuff anyway, Like I said, I am getting wedgy though. And I had to switch shirts because the other shirts that don't tuck, of course, will just all bunch up here. And it's really hard to tuck in shirts and get them to stay with the lower rise trousers. But with the suspenders, instead of the belt, and these pants also are too big on me, which is why a lot of this heavier duty denim, even worse with these, which is like 18 ounce instead of 15. With a belt and the pants being a little too big, I had to cinch them really tight, and then there was a lot of extra kind of how to coordinate that and get it to sit correctly. So this is not terrible. Again, if I'm out walking a bit, the leather will stretch a little bit. I don't want to prematurely, stretch it or stretch it in a funky way. So, like I said, even though technically, I think most guys would make the adjustment from the back, I think in this case, I'm going to make it on the front. And just relax that down a little bit. So it's not pulling up into my rear so much especially when I'm sitting instead of walking. Okay, getting that to sit flat and the other side first. Getting that back into the tab might be a little bit of a issue. But see, I think once you ease the front, it should ease the back. We'll see how the pants look. Yeah, they're still a little bit. I don't know if I can fix that because, again, the pants are just the wrong size. And the crotch is not deep enough to just pull the pants up to where they should go. And the shirt just wants to keep coming out. But overall, like I said, I could ease the back a bit, but then the ring would be kind of in the wrong spot. I'm not sure. So overall, yep, not too expecting. Like I said, also, if you have the thing here, though, it might pull it, even more. You might get an even more unflattering look, the more front you go with your rivets, whereas to the side might seem wrong. That might look a little better. You'll have to figure that out. Again, if your pants already have buttons on them for suspenders, they might just be in the wrong place entirely, depending on what kind of suspenders you get. You might have to figure that out. And of course, trying to coordinate with different leathers, like many of you aren't necessarily trying to get your leather to match your boots or something like that, in which case you can get less expensive leather than this one, like I said, but I wanted something that shows a little bit of character if I'm going to spend a bunch of money. So that being a factor. And again, that website should be just more honest about what the time frames really are. If there's only one guy making the thing, then yeah, you definitely need to let us know that in advance, so we're not, where's my stuff? I know I had another point. What was my other point? I don't remember. Oh, they do also sell these doohickeys separately if you need a replacement of that for some reason. Usually that's the kind of thing I try to also stock up on in advance, but this time I didn't, as I figured. And I have plenty of other suspenders lying around if I have a suspender emergency. It's not going to be the end of the world if it takes me a week to get some little replacement doohickeys. Rather than spend that money up front. But yeah, one or two, just common sense, you probably don't need to replace all three, all at the same time, in an emergency situation. Usually you're only going to need one or two. But when the time comes, when whatever these stretch out or whatever and don't want to stay snug anymore, then you'll definitely need a whole new set. Before you probably need a whole new set of the rig. The hardware is, yeah, just kind of a brass, not an antique brass. Again, they have Some of it is clamped in, and some of it is meant to be adjustable. So this one is a rivet, but then down here, or I'm sorry, back here was a, or no, these do have a screw seam as well. But it'll turn and turn and turn. What, you know, if, like I said, if you're not holding down the outer bit, I assume. And I did not need to unscrew this again to insert these. They're not that wide. You can just pinch it and put it right in. What else? What else can we say about suspenders in the next less than 5 minutes? I don't know. I know I'm forgetting something. I can't remember what. The back is, you know, regular full grain. The backing, there's no light lining or anything. It's just a raw edge. Like I said, there's an O-ring. I couldn't see that too well. And some rivets and all that. So kind of a heritage look thing. Like I said, a little bit more, I don't know, necessarily reliable, but hopefully longer lasting than elastic. Because of course these stretch until they don't, and then resizing them. I imagine if you really had to, you could always get a tailor or somebody to put a stitch and gather these and just shorten them and make them work longer. And then they'd just be more rigid and less giving, less flex, less, you know, ease. But again, how long do they last? It will depend on how much you wear them, how much you weigh, probably how much your pants weigh, slightly. Because again, some denim is a little bit heavier than others, but most pants are about the same weight. Wouldn't really worry about that too much. Obviously, if you're wearing that kind of suspender, you're probably wearing some kind of heavy duck canvas thing. That's why you need extra support. Whereas something like this is just generic. Oh, the clips. I don't think the clips stay fastened very well. I don't want to get hit in the face with a chunk of metal when they fail. But this leather can dry out and all that. The holes can enlarge to the point where they're not really cooperating anymore, but that takes a while usually. The clips can, I suppose, get dented or mangled or something, but you're not typically throwing this in a washing machine, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. You know, except for in really extreme situations. But of course, in the 80s, it was popular to wear the suspenders around your legs as a fashion statement instead of up on your shoulders, in which case the clip one worked fine, but that's about the only ones I ever owned in the clips, because when I did try to use them as normal suspenders, they just kept failing on me and coming undone. Okay, so I guess that'll be all for now. If you can think of anything that I forgot, go ahead and mention it in the comments. I'll try to answer your questions in a timely manner. And of course, if you're feeling generous, you can buy me a coffee or a pizza or some suspender ordering pieces or something. And of course, boycott Tinder. I haven't done another one of those videos. I don't know. It's been mostly redundant, but important to get the message out there that those dating apps are pretty much a complete scam, and their employees are, I don't know, in on it, I guess. I don't know, probably.